It's another class on Java programming again. I'm sure you had a nice time in our last class. Just a little recap on what we looked at in our last class. I remember we mentioned the fact that Java is one of the programming languages in existence today that programmers are using to develop programs for our computers. So that means Java is not the only language, there are other languages. Programmers use these languages through a process known as coding, and they write computer programs for our computers, which we enjoy using, I believe. Now, just like any other human language, which is governed by rules and regulations on how to use it, Java is not an exception. That means you have to know the rules somehow. You have to know the rules. So those rules that governs Java are known as the syntax of Java. They are known as the syntax of Java. Now, whether you are a beginner programmer or a pro in programming, you have to use these rules. Well, unlike human languages that is plagued by complexity in terms of the rules, Java is not like that. The rules are not much and they are very friendly. So let's assume I'm a beginner in programming. Now I want to write my very first program to display the program Hello World for me. Now, on a very good day, it should have a structure like this. Now, in every program you write in Java, you must begin with a public class. So I'll begin with a public class followed by what I want to do, then a curly brackets. So curly brackets are what are environment where I do my coding. So after public class, I should have a curly bracket, and then I will choose to explain what I'm trying to do to a fellow programmer. That means in my absence, someone can pick up my code and develop it. And how do I do that? I use a / with an asterisk. Then I'll also close it. So everything from that / asterisk down to another asterisk and then another / it means it's a comment, mainly for fellow programmers digest. Then after that, I should have a public static void main function. Don't worry about that. If you have an IDE, it will help you take care of that. So public static void main is part of the Java library. Then I'll have another curly bracket to tell the computer this is what I want to do. So what do I want to do? Hello world is what I want to do. So I will put it in a bracket. Don't worry about the system.out.println. It's part of the IDE library, and then I'll end my line of code with a semicolon. And of course, I open two brackets, right? So I have to close them. So a simple Java program look like that. Now, more about the rules are as follow. Now, just like you write names, Java is also write proper names of people with capital letter, right? So Java is case sensitive. That means if I declare a variable in uppercase, I have to maintain that rule of uppercase, lowercase. Then everything I do must be inside the class. That's why you saw public class there. Now, the class is just like a house, right? Just like a house with rooms inside. Then we also have what is called objects. Now objects are just like the rooms in our house, and each of those rooms has function. So we'll be using a lot of objects in Java. So classes contains objects, and we use those objects a lot. And of course, we mentioned semicolon, so you must end your line of code with semicolon. Then keywords. You saw public class, you saw static void. All these are keywords. What's a keyword? A keyword is just like a reserved word that is used by the Java library, so you cannot use it to declare your variable. Now, what happens at compilation time? Now, before then, we have to know that the programmer have to write the source code, the raw code now, and then it will be compiled, translated into what the CPU understands. What that means is that as a programmer, I understand my mother tongue, and the computer doesn't understand that. It only understands machine language. So in order for the computer to understand what I'm doing, I have to translate it. So the compiler takes care of that. So it translates my source code into something the CPU can understand. So I'll have a Java code and then a compiler in between to translate it into first what is called a bytecode. Well, there is more to bytecode as we continue in this class, so don't ever forget. Source code, compiler will act on the source code, and then I should have a bytecode. Now, more about the bytecode issue. The Java compiler has the sole aim of picking the source code, which is the raw code that the programmer is coding, and then compiles it into a bytecode. And the bytecode is a kind of false code or intermediary code. Now it is this bytecode that the Java virtual machine will act on it as such, interpreting it into something that the CPU can understand, and then we run it in a Java runtime environment. So the Java virtual machine and the Java runtime environment are needed for us to be effective in doing our Java stuff. Okay, now about bytecode. Remember we said the Java compiler compiles the initial code into a bytecode, right? Good. Now what it means is that prior to Java, there has been other languages such as C, like C++. The problem with them is that they are platform independent. Platform independence mean the machine and the operating system that runs on it. So if we write a program, let's assume in C, to run on Windows, we cannot run that program on a Mac operating system. We can't. So that is the problem with those languages. So Java came to the rescue of those languages. So that means we can write a program in Java and then run it in another operating system. That is what platform independence mean. And because of that, the influence of Java have risen so much over time. Now in the year 2021, statistically Java has taken over the market. So three languages were compared: Java, C++, and Ruby. And of course Java was just the talk of the town. Now because of the quality and the uniqueness of Java, which makes it to be compiled and interpreted and gives it that ability to run on different platforms, top CEOs in the world use Java a lot for their companies. Top tech companies use it a lot. For example, Amazon is located somewhere in US, but they are finding a way to connect the world, and you buy an item on Amazon, it will be shipped down to your location. How did they do it? They've discovered that Java is a very powerful tool. So with Java, they are hitting the market, making money, and at the same time improving the quality of their services, which makes the world a better place. Facebook, which of course is a common tool used especially among the youths, Facebook use Java a lot. So programmers that works in such companies, you just have to learn Java. So learning Java is an advantage for you because you will be sought after by top tech companies in the world. So these companies understand the flexibility of Java among other languages, so they are exploiting that for building applications that today is gaining ground. So that means if I want to work in top tech companies in the world, then I have to learn Java. So like we said before, other languages could either be compiled or interpreted. So if we write a program to run on Windows, then we'll have problem to run that program on maybe Ubuntu operating system because of their nature. So Java came to the rescue of programmers. So with Java, we could develop apps, programs. The only thing is that let that operating system that let that machine that contains the operating system has the appropriate JVM, the Java Virtual Machine, which has the ability of interpreting bytecode into something that the CPU will understand. Does it make sense? So Java is compiled and interpreted, which makes it platform independent, and top tech companies in the world have discovered that they are using Java to really make the world a better place, and they are getting returns on investment. So as a beginner in programming, if you need to learn a language, Java looks like the way forward, because apart from what we're enjoying about Java now, it's a future language. It's a language that cannot die. Other languages have existed before Java. Some of them are outdated, but Java cannot be outdated, because with Java we can do virtually everything on the computer, for websites, apps, um, mobile apps, desktop apps, and the rest of them. Now, since that is the case, you're a young programmer, you've heard about Java, why not go and invade your world? Thank you for listening.